Now, big news coming out of Arsenal. They're delighted to announce that Andrea Berta is joining the club as sporting director. And who else better to talk about this topic than our very own Premier League correspondent, Geoff Shreeves. Geoff, thank you so much for joining us. We obviously know that Berta is a big figure in football, obviously a huge history at Atletico Madrid. What else do we know about him? What can you tell us about him?
Well, Hannah, we know he started his career in banking before he was in football. So if you like, he came late to the game. He started out, I think it was a non-league club, or certainly lower down the divisions in Italy. Then it was Parma and Genoa. And then there's pretty much glorious 13 years at Atletico, where he really did perform wonders. He formed a fantastic partnership with Simeone. You've seen the list of names: Griezmann, Oblak, Rodri, Trippier, many, many more players that he developed, he brought in. He's somebody who doesn't seek the limelight. He's not somebody who likes to be out looking for publicity as such, although he has hit the headlines himself on a couple of occasions. And I think it's going to be really interesting, the dynamic, him and Mikel Arteta, because Mikel Arteta was involved in the recruitment of him. So it's certainly not a case of him being Mikel Arteta's boss, but at the same time, he brings a different kind of thinking. And you've got to say as well, right now, on the back of two pretty average transfer windows at best, he arrives with a very, very full in tray, which is sales, purchases and re-signings. And he's got quite a big job on his hands. I expect Arsenal to have a really, really big summer. I think that's why that they've moved quickly to get him. I believe he's been here since he left Atleti, improving his English, but there's still a bit of work to go there. So, yeah, he's got a lot to do.
At Atletico Madrid, you have to have a certain profile to fit the mold, right, that Cholo Simeone wants you to play. Whereas at Arsenal, if you're good enough, if you're world-class enough, Arsenal should be able to sign you. So what are the challenges for Andrea Berta going into this job working alongside Mikel Arteta?
I think that the challenges he faces, Nico, are very much the ones that his predecessor faced, getting world-class players at Arsenal within Arsenal's budget. They pay decent wages. They don't pay the top wages. We know that's elsewhere. And finding players that will fit into the system that Mikel Arteta likes to play. And that, you know, as we've seen, straight away Arsenal fans go to the lack of a centre-forward. But it's finding the right centre-forward. So that's a challenge for him. As I said, the re-signings, getting Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, for instance, getting those to recommit to the club before their deals start to run down too much. And also there's a fair amount of deadwood in that squad. Players that just aren't playing, who need to find football elsewhere. But I think the role of the sporting director is an interesting one, because you are reporting to the board. You've got to represent, in your sales and your purchases, good value for money both ways. So you've got to convince the owners that that is the case, and you've also got to do your homework well. I mean, look, Arsenal second again. You can argue at best they've maintained the finish from last season if they finished second. Or have they actually gone backwards? Is this a group? Is this a club that needs a fresh impetus, a fresh inject? And I think that is very much the case. They need something to go again. Okay, you can talk about injuries, you can talk about suspensions, but just as a group of people, the club needs something new. And this is a step in a different direction. This is a different type of sporting director to Ada, who brought quite a few players who are younger and with promise. Perhaps there's been more the finished article here.
Geoff, you touched on centre forwards just there, and we all know how much Isak has been linked to the club over a certain amount of time, but how much do you think that will still be a focus? We all know he's levelled up this year, his price tag might have gone up. Will that be the primary focus, or will he be looking to go elsewhere?
Yeah, it's a fair question, Jen, but I think that, Isak, I think it'll be virtually impossible for any club to get him out of Newcastle unless they come in with a phenomenal offer because of the length of contract he has left. So that's going to be a really, really tough one. I just can't see it. I think the player himself is ambitious. Now, don't forget as well, Newcastle are still in play for Champions League place this season. There's every chance it'll go down to 5. So they're right in the hat for that, aren't they, on the back of their thrilling trophy win in the Carabao. Are there alternatives? Of course, there's Gyökeres as well. There's Sesko, who Arsenal have done an awful lot of work on so far. And there's others. Jonathan David, there's Osimhen. So there are so many players out there. This is where Andrea Berta will really earn his money. He's got to come in and, look, Jed, you know, in and around the club, there's talk of who they're looking at, who they've scouted. He will pick up on a lot of the work that Jason Yates has done at Arsenal already. And they'll also see the scouting reports on some of the players they've looked at. Is it too late for him to introduce a new thought, a new player, a new process? We don't know. But he's going to have to hit the ground running.
Geoff, reading between the lines here with this hire, understanding how closely Mikel Arteta was linked to all of this coming to fruition, it seems to be that Mikel Arteta will continue at Arsenal. If he was so involved in the process, you're not going to go ahead and sack him. There are questions about Mikel Arteta's continuity at Arsenal, given the underwhelming season. I would imagine they're not going to sack him now.
No, not even a question. No chance, Nico. Honestly, absolutely none. There's more chance of you saying I'm never drinking mate again. It's just not going to happen. Zero chance, because yes, it has been a great season. It has been underwhelming, but you've got to remember where Arsenal were finishing before Mikel Arteta arrived: 8th, 5th. So there has been an improvement, and this season has been, if you like, they've trod water. I think if you're being kind, but it doesn't mean that they don't believe in Mikel Arteta anymore. And I agree with you. I think the fact he is so heavily involved in this process doesn't mean that he's got carte blanche to do whatever he likes at the club. But I think it tells you that the owners respect Arteta's opinion and they believe in him. They believe he's the right man for the job. And quite rightly, he's involved in the process because he's going to have to work cheek by jowl with Berta. He's going to have discussions with him. Sometimes they'll agree, sometimes they'll disagree. But the most important thing is that they work together. That's why he's so involved. And absolutely, no, there is no talk whatsoever that, you know, there's any question marks from the Arsenal hierarchy about Mikel Arteta's position.
If Arsenal want to take that final step next season of winning the league or doing well this year in Champions League, what is something Berta can bring to Arsenal that the club have been missing to take that next step?
Oh, it's easy, Hannah. Just sign Zubimendi, Nico Williams, Gyökeres or Sinner or Isak ideally, and job's done, isn't it?
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, the squad needs strengthening. And if you think Thomas Partey is likely to leave in the summer, Jorginho will leave in the summer as well. Kivior's not playing much football. He needs to go. Zinchenko needs to go as well. So there's a lot of work to be done on sales too. Those players are all likely to leave in the summer. And it's finding the quality replacements. It's finding the players that will improve what they have already, and also without upsetting the harmony of the squad as it stands. So, look, again, I think Arsenal are the sort of club, they tend to identify targets a long time in advance. And I think that they will feel they know what they want, they know where they're short, and none of it is rocket science. They need support on the wings. We know that. They know they've got to do something there. Although Waneri's rise has given them maybe a little more food for thought in that area if he's played out wide. They need somebody who can get them 20-plus goals a season guaranteed, and they need to strengthen in midfield. Defensively, they're pretty okay, and they're sound in terms of the goalkeeper too. So I'd say a winger, centre mid, and a striker. But I have to tell you, the most important thing that came out of the press conference today was Mikel Arteta saying Bukayo Saka is back, ready and raring to go, and said he could easily start against Fulham tomorrow night. So for Arsenal fans, that's like having a new signing halfway through the season.